Mangwana ni mwalepo vukenjani class vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. The news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know fresh on a Thursday morning. It's always good to have you here. My name is Ashwin Berry and this is Aina Raizakweyo.
Happy Thursday, everyone. Today is Adoption Day. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to adopt a child? Videos on social media report all the time about children and their surprising reveal of the finalized adoption to a new family. However, this doesn't always occur. It takes approximately 3 years for a child to be finalized for an adoption. Because it doesn't happen often enough, Adoption Day is a day created to bring awareness to these facts. And here is more on Adoption Day. Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. In our top stories, 11 murdered in a terrorist raid in Muda and Makomia districts. 11 civilians were murdered in a terrorist attack in Mueda and Makomia districts, Cabo Delgado province on Friday and Saturday. Carta de Mocambique reports 4 in Mueda district and 7 in Mocamia. Carta sources report that 3 individuals were murdered in Nachitenge, Mueda district after a group of 20 armed men with machetes and firearms invaded the village on Friday morning. In Nachitenge, the group took several hostages, stole food, and burned down homes. The terrorists reportedly also dismembered a motorcycle taxi driver, stealing his motorbike and the money he was carrying. Carter sources reports that the terrorists attacked 3 villages in Kamba administrative post in the Mueda district over the weekend. 3 terrorists, including 1 child soldier, were killed by a joint Rwandan and Mozambican troop.
Now in Guinea, military junta leader denies ECOWAS support. The leader of the ruling military junta in Guinea, Conakry, Mamadi Doumbouya, denied that there is a crisis in the country, assuring that Guineans are able to solve their problems alone without the intervention of the community of West African states. In an interview broadcast on national television and quoted by France Press, Doumbouya, who proclaimed himself transitional president on 1 October, a month after overthrowing Alpha Conde, avoided announcing the date when power would be returned to civilians. The length of this transitional period will be decided by the Transitional National Council, which should assume the role of the legislative body, he said. Since the August 2020 coup d'etat in Mali, ECOWAS has sanctioned the country and its leaders, forcing them to accept a transition limited to 18 months and appointing a mediator. However, the military junta recently announced that it will not respect the deadline for elections set by ECOWAS.
1,000 people have been detained since the beginning of this month. The United Nations declared that at least 1,000 people have been arrested in Ethiopia since the government declared a state of emergency on the 2nd of this month due to the internal conflict with the Tigray region. The spokesman stressed that this development is particularly worrying since most of those arrested are allegedly Tigray, often arrested on suspicion of affiliation with or support for the Tigray People's Liberation Front. According to reports, at least 1,000 people were detained, and some reports put the number much higher. On the 2nd of this month, the government declared a 6-month state of emergency in view of the growing risk of TPLF and Oromo Liberation Army fighters marching on to the capital. The state of emergency in place in Ethiopia runs the risk of aggravating an already very serious human rights and humanitarian situation in the country. Its provisions are extremely broad, with vague prohibitions that go so far as to encompass indirect moral support for what the government has labeled terrorist groups, said the High Commissioner's Office for Human Rights, Liz Throssell, at a press conference in Geneva, Switzerland.
Now, in Uganda, we're coming for you, Museveni tells terrorists. President Museveni on Tuesday said terrorists have exposed themselves at a time when Uganda's security infrastructure has improved compared to what it was in 2018 when he made the speech to parliament. Mr. Museveni further said the terrorists who blew themselves up near the Central Police Station in Kampala and at the IGG's office along Parliament Avenue are manipulated and confused bazukulu, which means grandchildren. Describing them as pigs, the president identified the suicide bomber of CPS Mansour Uthman and the one at Parliamentary Avenue as Wanjusi Abdallah. I am referring to the dead terrorists as manipulated victims of confusion. If blowing oneself up will send one to Jannah, let him blow himself up as an example instead of manipulating young children, Mr. Museveni said in a Tuesday evening statement, before adding, the terrorists invited us and we are coming for them.
Deadly yellow fever outbreak kills 25 people. The Ghana Health Service says 25 people have so far died from the recent outbreak of yellow fever in the Savannah and Upper West regions. The outbreak, which was initially detected in Savannah region, has now spread to the Wa East district of the Upper West region, the statement added. The GHS on the 29th of October 2021 notified the public of an outbreak of yellow fever in some districts in the Savannah region, with 8 deaths reported. The GHS subsequently dispatched a team of experts from the Service, World Health Organization Country Office, and the Center for Disease Control to the region to support the regions investigate the outbreak and implement appropriate control measures. The statement said the team, among others, assessed the risk of yellow fever transmission based on the population of the vector responsible for transmitting yellow fever, the Aedes mosquitoes.
Cumulative amounts of rain makes the streets of Kinshasa more and more impassable. Floods, monster traffic jams everywhere, unrest in Kinshasa. The rain is wreaking havoc. The population is at its wit's end. Pedestrians in the water up to their hips screaming. Exasperated local residents, the suburbs are not fading while the worst of the rainy season announces devastation. Torrential rains fell on the agglomeration of the capital from 4 a.m. on Tuesday. The abundant water caused flooding in cellars, houses, flooded car engines, made the streets impractical. On Saturday, torrential rains caused flooding in a few corners of Kinshasa, mostly linked to the overflow of the beds of various rivers and the clogging of gutters. This torrential rain did not cause flooding in some districts of the city, frequently exposed to disaster, thanks, according to some Kinshasa, to the cleaning work carried out recently by the Office of Roads and Drainage, as well as the Kinshasa-Bopeto Sanitation Brigades.
UN Food Aid Chief responded to Elon Musk's challenge with famine plan. The head of the United Nations Food Aid Arm presented a detailed plan to help avoid famine in 2022 to Tesla's chief Elon Musk, responding to the challenge from the world's richest man to explain how a donation from him could help alleviate global hunger. At Elon Musk, you asked for a clean plan and open billion books. Here it is. The UN World Food Programme's Executive Director David Beasley wrote on Twitter on Monday. We are ready to talk with you and anyone else who is serious about saving lives. Musk's, the world's richest man, had raised the possibility of selling Tesla shares if WFP could show how 6 billion would solve world hunger. In the breakdown titled A One-Time Appeal to Billionaires, the WFP said that about 3.5 billion could be used for food and delivery, with another 2 billion going toward cash and food vouchers.
In our next story, powerful storms hammer Lesotho. Heavy storms lashed some parts of the country, and this week, with powerful winds sweeping away roofs at some buildings. Several villages in the southern part of the country, including areas in the Maseru district, were caught up in the storms. Buildings at the Morija Nursing School, housed with the Scott Hospital premises, had the roofs to the buildings blown away, leaving students and teachers stranded. Other places in the Mohale's Hooktown, the roads were soon transformed into fast-flowing rivers. In Semonkong Palang, lightning struck a hut belonging to an elderly couple where they were living with 4 orphans. They all survived. The village chief said the couple depends on the old age pension and there is no guarantee that they will be paid this month because all their documents got burnt when lightning struck their house.
EU delivers 90 homes to victims of Cyclone Idai in central Mozambique. The European Union on Monday handed over 90 houses to victims of Cyclone Idai in Mozambique. The minister noted that the construction of the houses resulted from a financial contribution of 34.3 million euros from the EU to the recovery mechanism in an initiative implemented by the United Nations Development Programme. Minister Machatin pointed out that the houses have inbuilt resilience, taking into account the region's propensity to natural disaster, mainly floods and cyclones. The community of Mutawa also received new facilities for its primary school, while in Beira, the rehabilitation of Samora Machel Secondary School, which had been destroyed by Idai, was handed over. The EU ambassador to Mozambique, Antonio Gaspar, said that huge challenges in terms of infrastructures destroyed by Cyclone Idai still remains. The European Union expresses its total availability to support Mozambique in several other areas of urgent intervention with a view to economic recovery and the encouragement of development, Gaspar promised. Cyclone Idai and the issuing floods in March 2019 put an estimated 1.85 million people in need of humanitarian aid and protection.
In the last of our top stories, Chivute wins Namibia's 3rd Best Actor, Sotigui. Armas Chivute secured a hat-trick for Namibia as he scooped the Best Actor Southern Africa trophy at the Sotigui Awards in Burkina Faso last Saturday. The 3rd Namibian actor to win the coveted award after Adriano Fisachi in 2019 and Gurli Yadhama in 2020, Chivute accepted the honor for his role in #Land of the Brave film with a mixture of pride and relief. My time in Burkina Faso was awesome. I really had a lot of fun. I managed to promote not only the movie I represented, but the film industry as a whole, says Chivute, who was supported by the Collective Productions Namibia, the Namibia Film Commission, and Kalahari Holdings. Chivute plays Warrant Officer Chivute in #Land of the Brave film and prepared for the role by going on patrols with local police officers. The film is currently making its way around the world on the International Film Festival circuit and recently won Best Narrative Feature at the Silicon Valley African Film Festival. As Aina would say, halala.
I was just going to say halala.
Yes, kudos to you, Mr. Chivute. Kudos to the Namibian film industry. Bright things ahead. This is still Africa Good Morning. So much more for you right after the break.
Win instant cash this spring with Top Score Instant. To enter, buy any new pack of Top Score Instant 1 kg or 500 grams from any store countrywide and stand a chance to win one of 2 grand prizes of $20,000 Namibian or one of 12 weekly prizes of $5,000 Namibian. SMS Instant to 24442. Competition ends 30 November 2021. T's and C's apply. Top Score Instant, a proud product of Namib Mills.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Tomorrow, Friday, 19th of November 2021, is Campaign for World Toilet Day. This day highlights the fact that the toilets are something that many people take for granted. It is estimated that around 3.6 billion people globally don't have a toilet that works properly or have no access to them at all. That is the case in the Kapuka Nauyala informal settlement in Windhoek, where only a handful of more than 4,000 residents have a toilet. Yana Marie Smith compiled this report.
The way you are living is not human. But what solution are you actually going to tell them? Imagine since 1991, there is no water access, there is no sewer access, there is no road access. What do you tell me that this, for 30 years, this community have received from independence cake? Nothing.
So this mountain simply means it's a toilet. So everyone knows it as a toilet, and it's because of the situation. It's the only open space. So even though they are making the business in the house, they still have to bring it here because it's a toilet. It's the only option community has as a toilet.
Children are playing there or at the mountain there. There are a lot of human shits, and then like that hepatitis A is spreading. A lot of mothers are now taking their children to the hospital, like in a month, 3 to 4 times. I really feel bad, like personally, it's not a good thing. It's like we are not living as human beings.
They only come here from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 in the evening. After that, it's no longer safe. It's a crime area. If it's after 7 and nature calls, they use the buckets and then they wait for 6 o'clock so they can pour it here.
I have seen so many informal settlements, but I have never come across of a situation like of Kapuka Kanoya. In all commerce region of the informal settlement that I have visited, I have never come across like the situation of Kapuka Kanoya.
In 2018, around 4,000 people lived in this informal settlement. The large hill squatting at the center of the informal settlement has been deliberately kept free of shacks over the past 30 years. Instead, it is covered in toilet paper and human waste.
And there's no waste management, there's no access for the maybe municipality to come and collect the waste. It's just there. We dump it there, it stays there. The only way community wanted to help themselves is by through the CLTS project, like when we facilitate about they should make their own toilets at home. Households have tried their best to dig 7 pits, but due to COVID situation, many people have lost their jobs, there's loss of income. The pits are just there, open, and it's also a risk because maybe when someone can even fall in, so they've tried to meet the government halfway there.
So what they have done here, they have dug already their pit for their toilet, but the challenge that they are having is actually material. If you come across any company or anyone who can probably donate material to them.
1991 has been long. These people have been living here, and for them they could be trying, but their resources are also limited, their skills are also limited. The sanitation situation in Kapuka has been a long old problem to a point that people do not trust the authorities anymore.
It's really a situation that really make you to wonder, is our government really doing enough? As a human being, imagine having to help yourself in a plastic or in a bucket, and you have to sleep with this bucket, you have to sleep with this urine in your room. I know that the community are really trying their level best. They are trying to find solution to whatever that is happening related to sanitation, related to water, related to electricity needs and all those things. But they don't have means of ways. They don't have access. And this is where the government need to come in and help and actually see that our people really, their life need to be dignified.
There are exceptions to the rule in any story. In Kapuka, Willie Kashihama is the proud owner of a dry toilet that she had constructed with the help of neighbors in 2019. The toilet is kept under a sturdy lock and key. Around 25 households share the toilet now with permission from Shehama. Each household keeps the toilet clean on a rotation basis, and they pool funds to buy sanitation products. Nearby, the informal settlement of Nalitungwe, situated in the same constituency as Kapuka, is preparing to celebrate their open defecation-free status, the first for a Khomas informal settlement. This remarkable status was achieved through the community-led total sanitation program with the support of the Development Workshop Namibia, among others.
Previously, when we were crossing here, you find that feces laying around on the ground, whereby it's so disgusting, you cannot even come and cross this riverbed. So the intervention of the CLTS and the project at large have brought these changes, whereby people are managing their waste, taking them to the dump site. This is the first block that is about to be declared ODF, which is a very good thing for the community, and they will take it up from there. It's a lesson to the neighborhood that please, they will emphasize, encourage the community to start building their own toilet, having facilities at their household. It's a good practice, and stop open defecation.
Africa Good Morning is your reliable source for decentralized African news. Keeping that in mind, we're going to take a trip to Zimbabwe and have a chat with Talent Gore. Talent, Wamkase.
Good morning, Ashwin. Good morning, Africa.
Always good having you here. Now, in our first story, diabetic patients struggle to access drugs. Could you please expand on this?
Well, diabetes patients from poor backgrounds are reportedly struggling to access life-saving drugs, in particular insulin, from primary health institutions because of prohibitive costs. While a vial load of insulin in Zimbabwe costs around $8 and $25 at private pharmacies, forcing the poor to default on treatment. Most patients are failing to procure insulin because due to the dire economic situation in the country. The country is also facing a rising level of people with non-communicable diseases. So the government has said that it was rolling out the World Health Organization package of essential non-communicable diseases services at primary care level in a bid to address the drug cost challenges in the country.
All right, the government is to construct 3,000 new schools by 2025. Please tell us about this.
The Zimbabwean government has approved the construction of 3,000 new schools by 2025 as the number of learners are increasing. So the government has said that currently we have 9,778 schools, of which 6,708 of those are primary schools and 2,980 are secondary schools. And most of these schools, they are day schools, they are not boarding schools. So the government that they are going to start constructing new schools, particularly boarding schools. They also said that the COVID-19 pandemic had increased the demand for new schools and additional school infrastructure to relieve the existing boarding schools. So during the implementation of the project, they're going to construct more secondary schools than primary schools, because already we have more primary schools than secondary schools. And they're also going to make sure that most of these, they are boarding schools and they are up to date. They are those of the 21st century. So the first phase will start next year with between 100 and 144 schools being built in next year during the first phase of the project.
All right, now in your last story, farmers receive 8,000 tons of seeds under the climate-proofed presidential input scheme. Could you tell us about this?
Farmers in Zimbabwe have received more than 8,000 tons of seed and 37,800 tons of fertilizers under the climate-proofed presidential input scheme, popularly known as Pfumvudza or Intwasa in Zimbabwe. Well, the main objective of this project is to help Zimbabweans and to help farmers yield enough produce to tackle food insecurity in the country. Government adopted the Pfumvudza or Intwasa scheme to address the problem of low production and productivity, which continued to negatively affect food security in Zimbabwe. Currently, statistics show that more than 8.6 million Zimbabweans are food insecure, and the situation has been worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic, whose impact has disrupted many economic activities in the country.
Now, do you know if the farmers are optimistic about this? Because, you know, after you've lost quite a bit, especially due to COVID-19, sometimes what you receive just covers what you lost, doesn't necessarily put you ahead. Do you know of any opinion from the farmers?
Yes, the farmers, they are quite optimistic because this program is started last year, whereby the government was giving out seeds and fertilizers to the farmers. They're giving it to just anyone with a piece of land. They're saying if you have any piece of land that you have, you can use. We're giving you input, we're giving you seeds, we're giving you fertilizers for you to be food secure. So the farmers are quite optimistic. They are not only giving this to those farmers with big lands, they're giving it to anyone who has a part of land that they can use, they can utilize for food. So they are very optimistic about this, and they hope that the government will continue with this program as it only started last year. So this is the second the government has been giving out these seeds and fertilizers under the Pfumvudza scheme.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the news from Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having you on Africa Good Morning. Next up, let's have a look at the weather forecast.
Season 1 of the Hunters Chill session is coming to a close. To celebrate Hunters and the Namibian Sun, we'll be having an exclusive invite-only event at Access Lounge on the 23rd of November. You can be part of this. Stand a chance to win exclusive double tickets for you and a friend to attend the Hunters Chill finale. WhatsApp a picture of you and your friend chilling with your favorite Hunters to 084 000 9820. Hunters, refreshes like nothing on earth. Not for persons under the age of 18. T's and C's apply.
It's time for us to cross over to the land of tranquility, peace, and harmony. And here is Masego Mugwasa in Botswana with the news-making headlines. Good morning, Masego. Please take it away.
Good morning, Aina, and you two, Ashwin, in the studio. Thank you for such an amazing introduction. Leading stories from Botswana today. Dr. Unity Dow, the specially elected member of parliament, was in her element on Wednesday when she gave a free lecture on the rogue nature of the Directorate of Intelligence and Security Services. In a no-holds-barred demeanor rarely exhibited by a Botswana Democratic Party MP, Dow cut the DIS into shreds by ably demonstrating through quoting several legal provisions in the Intelligence and Security Service Act of 2008. Dow's response to the State of Nation Address 2021 was largely premised on the rule of law, accountability, transparency, and good governance, values which are seriously lacking in the administration of the DIS. These, according to her, were values made by her party when campaigning for the 2019 general election, which regrettably have not been fulfilled. To restore the DIS to where it rightfully belongs, she has called, amongst others, for a commission of inquiry. Now, knowing how the attitude of leading parties in Africa when they are brought to question, it's very unlikely that the commission of inquiry will happen. But hopefully, Botswana being the land of tranquility, we will see that happen. Next up, the Botswana Innovation Hub, BIH, has rebranded to the Botswana Digital and Innovation Hub, BDIH, as part of the country's efforts to embrace the fourth industrial revolution and accelerate its digital transformation strategy. The digital transformation strategy, known as Smart Bots, is an action plan that aims to deliver a smart, sustainable society for Botswana by digitalizing the public sector for more efficient service delivery. According to BDIH, this is all being done with the primary aim of supporting the national innovation ecosystem to enhance Botswana's global competitiveness. Service in Botswana, I don't know about in Namibia, but service in Botswana is very slow. I am welcoming this and hoping that it will make a difference, especially in the public sector. Last but not least, government says it's oblivious to the whereabouts of former President Ian Khama. Presidential Affairs Minister Kabo Moraing faced questions in Parliament over the matter. Khama is currently supposedly in South Africa on a private visit amid speculation that he may have fled the country. He has raised concerns about his safety following a raid at his private residence by state security agents. Answering the question by Member of Parliament for Kalahari South, Sam Brooks, Minister of Presidential Affairs and Public Administration responded, the former President Lieutenant General Seseretse Khama Ian Khama has not notified my ministry of his plans to travel. As such, I have no official knowledge of his whereabouts. However, upon inquiry, information from the Department of Immigration and Citizenship shows that the former president crossed the border at Martin's Drift into South Africa on the 8th of November 2021, unaccompanied by official security detail. Now, according to the law in Botswana, any former president has to travel with security detail. It is the mandate and responsibility of the government to provide such detail. And by disappearing without informing the government, he has denied the state an opportunity to provide him such. That
All
is
right, I'm
the
curious,
end of my
Maseko.
report for the day.
All right,
Yes.
sorry, Maseko, before you end, what's the general public opinion with regards to Sir Ian Seretse-Khama's absence?
I'm going to be honest. Botswana feel like the former president is being bullied. They feel like he's being hunted down. Botswana absolutely adore our former president. Despite questions about his leadership here and there. There's a bit of an issue about why exactly it is he's being followed around and hounded.
All right, okay. Well, thank you very much for bringing us such a comprehensive report from Botswana.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having you on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we'll be checking out your economic news stories. Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. As promised, we're going to dive straight into your economic news stories. In our first story, Afreximbank disburses $40 billion. With this amount, Afreximbank doubles the $20 billion of the last 5 years, said the chairman of the board of directors, Benedict Orama, at the Intra-African Trade Fair, which opened on Monday in Durban, South Africa. Addressing 6 African presidents and a wide audience of businessmen on the opening day of the second edition of the event, which runs until November 21, he said that Africa is starting to build its own institutions, as is the case with the bank. Trade agreements have worked in more mature markets because they have institutional mechanisms that support their implementation, he highlighted. Afreximbank's objective is to integrate 500 banks with aggregated lines of more than $8 billion US.
Fuel storage facility gobbles up another 87 million Namibian dollars. The government plans to fork out an additional 87 million for the national storage facility, which has already gobbled up more than 6.5 billion in taxpayers' fund in the past 5 years. These details are contained in a report by the Central Procurement Board, which was made public in Windhoek yesterday. The report provides an overview on the status of state tenders, challenges faced, and progress made since last year. One of the standout tender extension is for the fuel storage facility at Walvis Bay, a deal that has for years been made in controversy, including allegations of corruption and negligence by senior government officials. Extension time and notification for possible additional cost for the National Oil Storage Facility at Walvis Bay. CBP Chairperson Patrick Swart said in his presentation yesterday, "It's not clear what the 87 million is for." Swartz referred additional questions to his officials. The Namibian 3 years ago reported that the government was set to splash another 50 million on the National Oil Storage Facility at Walvis Bay after complaints emerged of it having substandard firefighting capacity. The government has over the years been warned by experts that consumers could end up paying high prices for fuel to subsidize this project.
In our next story, retailers can expect an uptick in sales from this year's Black Friday. Sales for this year's annual major pre-festive season sale, Black Friday, are expected to rise compared to last year due to a 12.3% increase in consumer spending recorded between July and October. The extension of Black Friday specials to the entire month of November may have driven the sales in 2020, but retailers felt the full blow of COVID-19 as seen in the disruptions to global supply chains. Still, with the economy's better performance compared to 2020, we expect November's card sales and ATM withdrawals to surpass the previous year's Black Friday, as specials once again run throughout the entire month of November as well as on Black Friday, according to economist.co.za's chief economist Mike Schussler. The consumer is doing well, so therefore the retailers should expect a very good year, certainly better than last year, said market analyst Wayne McCurry. Consumers will have a good year and so will the retailers.
Buhari says Africa must be a marketplace where no country is left behind. President Muhammadu Buhari lauded Africa's collaborative journey towards collective economic prosperity through the African Continental Free Trade Area, adding that Africa must be a marketplace where no country is left behind. In his address Monday at the opening ceremony of Intra-African Trade Fair 2021 at Durban, President Buhari said, under the African Continental Free Trade, we can double our intra-Africa trade by 2030, reduce our reliance on imports, and therefore create more jobs within the continent. He said he looked forward to seeing more African products manufactured in Africa using African resources, noting that AfCFTA is for the made in Africa products and services. The president said most of Africa's existing challenges, whether security, economy, or corruption, confronting Africa can be traced to the continent's inability over the years to domesticate the production of its most basic requirements and provide jobs to its teeming and dynamic youth population. He, however, warned that this goal cannot be achieved by talking alone. The president also said business people must key into existing regional value chains or build new ones, either to extend operations into the high value segment or their industry, or to satisfy the area rules of origin requirements.
All right, that brings us to the end of our economic news stories. Next up, economic indicators.
Win instant cash this spring with Top Score Instant. To enter, buy any new pack of Top Score Instant 1 kg or 500 grams from any store countrywide and stand a chance to win one of 2 grand prizes of $20,000 Namibian or one of 12 weekly prizes of $5,000 Namibian. SMS Instant to 24442. Competition ends 30 November 2021. T's and C's apply. Top Score Instant, a proud product of Namib Mills.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. It's time for your sports news update. And we start off with netball as South Africa retains African crown. South Africa won the Netball Africa Cup in Windhoek yesterday after completing an unbeaten campaign with a 65-39 victory against Namibia. By the end of the first quarter, they were leading 15-10 and by halftime had gone 32-16 ahead. Namibia gave as good as they got as they ended the third quarter with a 49-28 deficit before South Africa sealed a comfortable 26-point victory. That was their 8th successive win at the tournament. Namibia are a great team. They are really improving every time, and it was a great game out there. This was according to coach Dorette Badenhorst. Now, the result sees Namibia finishing 4th on the log on 8 points after they won 4 and lost 4 of their matches.
Vanquished heavyweights get second chance in playoffs. Both Italy, who won the continental title in July, and Portugal, who were the winners of Euro 16, will be in tenterhooks as they await the outcome of the draw for the March playoffs for the 12 European countries who remain in contention for 3 places at the World Cup. They are the teams who finished runner-ups in their groups, plus 2 more who qualified by virtue of being the best 2 Nations League group winners who did not finish in the top 2 of the Qatar 2022 preliminaries. Italy's failure to win in Northern Ireland on Monday and Portugal's home loss to Serbia the night before has condemned the 2 heavyweights to needing to play 2 more games if they are to go to Qatar. Italy and Portugal could land up in the same section, kept apart in the semis, but possibly facing one another in a deciding tie. Italy have bitter memories of losing to Sweden in playoffs for Russia 2018, condemning them to miss the World Cup for the first time since 1958. Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo will no doubt remind his team that they triumphed over Sweden in a playoff ahead of the 2014 finals.
Now, in the world of cricket, ICC forms working group to determine Afghan future. The International Cricket Council has set up a working group to determine the future of the game in Afghanistan under its Taliban government, the world governing body said on Wednesday. Afghanistan's remarkable rise in cricket in recent years has been the sport's biggest fairy tale story, but the strife-torn nation risks international isolation following the country's Taliban takeover in August. The ICC board is committed to continuing to support Afghanistan cricket to develop both men's and women's cricket moving forward, ICC Chairman Greg Barclay said in a statement. We believe the most effective way for this to happen will be to support our member in its effort to achieve this through its relationship with the new government. Taliban officials have said they will not repeat the harsh rule of the previous Taliban government, which banned most girls' education and forbade women from going out in public without a male guardian. ICC had taken a wait-and-see approach on whether Afghanistan can continue as a full member, allowing it to play test matches, and the issue came up during its board meeting in Dubai at the conclusion of the 2020 World Cup last week. Cricket is fortunate to be in the position to influence positive change in Afghanistan, with the national men's team a source of great pride and unity in a country with a young population that has experienced more upheaval and change than most, Barclay added.
World Cup candidates now have AFCON on their minds. All but one of the 10 countries that have advanced to the last stage of Africa's World Cup qualifier will have another matter on their immediate agenda before determining who plays at the 2022 finals in Qatar. Algeria, Cameroon, Egypt, Ghana, Mali, Morocco, Nigeria, Senegal, and Tunisia are all on course to qualify for Qatar but compete at the Africa Cup of Nations finals in January before switching focus back to the World Cup qualification in March. Only the Democratic Republic of Congo are through to the last round of the Africa's World Cup preliminaries despite having flopped in the Cup of Nations qualifier this year. In March, the 10 teams will be drawn into 5 two-leg ties, the aggregate winners representing Africa in Qatar. The two-leg ties will be played between the 24th to the 29th of March. No draw date has been set, but a confederation of African football spokesperson told Reuters it would likely be conducted in January during the Cup of Nations finals. World Cup qualifying has proven intense and welcome preparation for the Cup of Nations, no more so than for host Cameroon. They have been largely unimpressive over the last 2 years, but got a boost by beating and eliminating a strong Ivory Coast team 1-0 in Yaoundé on Tuesday amid ecstatic support that they will seek to draw strength from at the Cup of Nations. But others, like defending champions Algeria, will go to the tournament concerned about stuttering performance in the World Cup qualifiers hosted in an intense 3-month spell.
All right, we're certainly looking forward to that. All right, this is Africa Good Morning. Those have been your sports news updates. After the break, your headlines. Africa Good Morning has been streaming live from 7 a.m., bringing you the news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Now, if you perhaps missed our top stories at the top of the hour, worry not, here are some of the headlines. 11 murdered in terrorist raids in Mueda and Makomia districts. Military junta leader denies ECOWAS support. 1,000 people have been detained since the beginning of this month. Afrexim Bank disburses $40 billion. South Africa retains African crown. Those have been our stories.
We thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Africa Good Morning. We encourage you to visit our website, which is called One Up 2, and on there you can find all NMH's live channels and also all our shows. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, you can post those comments on our Facebook and Twitter pages. That's at Africa Good Morning. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. Please get vaccinated, wear your mask, and avoid unnecessary public gatherings. And on that note, is all our love, all our light.
It's almost Friday. Swela Shakanaka.